What's going on, everybody? This is Abby here, and today I have a special guest. Her name is Kel Grant, and we're continuing to talk about the subject of how creators price and structure their services for other people. But really quick, I just wanted to give a shout out to Kel because she was actually one of the people that inspired me to create my own podcast, because she reached out, and once I saw the process and how not necessarily simple but how smooth it was, I hopped right on it. So I want to thank you from the top of this segment for that opportunity, and thank you.
Of course. You've been killing it, honestly. You're inspiring me now. It's awesome.
Now, can you please share with us like where you're from and some of the things that you do?
Absolutely. So my name is Kel Grant. As you said, I'm based in New Jersey, and I always used to call myself an aspiring filmmaker. I'm trying to kind of take that caveat away and just say, I'm a filmmaker based in New Jersey. But I specialize in short form social media videos. So anything from, 15-second to 2-minute style ads, whether that's product videos, testimonials, brand videos. I really like to work with small businesses because over the course of my career, I did a lot of freelancing before I officially launched my business, Arbez Films, last February. And I found that I was kind of just taking whatever gig I could get, because once you have those kind of videography, video editing skills, everyone's like, well, I have this video from my, uncle's birthday party, and I have this video for the school. Like, can you edit this? So I was doing a lot of work, and it was paying the bills, I guess, because I didn't really need it to pay the bills. Like, I had my full-time job, so I was kind of just doing this stuff on the side, taking projects here or there. And it wasn't until last year where I started to really kind of narrow down the fact that, okay, in order to scale this business, I really need to figure out a pricing structure for the services that I'm operating.
And that is key, because that's exactly what we're going to talk about. So we spoke offline about some of the things that prompted these conversations. So when it comes down to, can you tell us how much experience you have in terms of filmmaking, be it, actual schooling or the time that you spent developing this passion and this career?
Sure. So I actually went to school. I studied media production. It was specifically like radio and television production, but I worked for the production company on campus at Monmouth University for about 3-4 years. And with that, I learned kind of just the basis of my education was editing in Premiere Pro. That was the bulk of it. Because with working with a production company on campus, I had some amazing opportunities, like being able to travel to Spain to film their kind of study abroad promo video, working with a production company, working with a crew, learning about lighting, how to set up a studio, doing all that kind of stuff. So I had a lot of kind of broad experience as far as studio production. But once I graduated college, I realized that I wanted to kind of take my freelance career in a direction other than what I had learned, because I wasn't interested in doing like news productions and in studio productions. I was interested in what at the time was kind of known as DSLR filmmaking, this new wave of filmmaking that was more cinematic than the typical kind of like videography that I was used to. During my time in the production company on campus, we were, filming graduation ceremonies, and maybe, we weren't getting too creative in the edit, but we were putting together some stuff. I learned how to edit to music and doing all that stuff. But it wasn't until I graduated and started investing in kind of my own education separate from that, with the full-time filmmaker course and things of that nature, and just kind of finding stuff on YouTube, where I realized like, okay, I can take the base kind of foundation skills I have to the next level by, applying some of these principles that I'm learning from these online resources.
And you bring up a valid point that the style of video and production that is coming out nowadays is still relatively new. It was more event based now that I recall. Like it was graduations and weddings and things of that nature. To now, it is completely evolved and is evolving to just incorporate a number of different things from vlogging to product, reviews and things of that nature. So that is interesting to say that as you already technically went to school to receive your schooling, it continues because the industry constantly changes.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, because when I was in school, it was like we were learning, there was like film production, like major motion picture production, there was news in studio production, and then there was like really high end commercials, the things we were seeing Nike produce and all that stuff. But that was so far away from the skill level I had. It wasn't until after I graduated and started kind of, self educating where I realized, like, oh, you can do that kind of cinematic studio quality that you see in these advertisements and commercials with your DSLR camera. You can do it. I've been a one woman show for a while now, and you can do it on your own. So that really opened my eyes because I don't think that was taught in schools like this, that you can kind of become this independent creator and sustain yourself financially in a business like that. Freelancing was something that you just did on the side until you got your real job. But now I'm finding that a lot of people kind of turn their freelance career into their full-time filmmaking career.
And that's wonderful. Now, what I want to talk to you next is about time. And I think this is one of the things that I just want to drive home so much
Yeah.
when it comes down to it. So you mentioned earlier that now you are focusing primarily on short form videos. And granted, the output or the final product may be 15 to 30 seconds and sometimes even less. Could you tell us about the process that goes into that and how long it actually takes to produce what people, can just swipe through?
Right. This has been a tough one for me because I've had clients say, this is a 15-second video. Why is it taking you so long? Because from pre-production all the way to post-production and delivery, and then also like performance metrics, and if you're running ads and stuff like that, there's a whole kind of pipeline that happens. So with pre-production, we don't just necessarily throw stuff on a timeline. Like a lot of this is premeditated. We've thought it out beforehand, and we've worked with the client to kind of align on a vision and be able to bring that to life, which allows me to edit quicker, yes, because I'm not just kind of making it up as I go, but it does take a lot of time for that pre-production process. I have a few clients where they're doing kind of a package of funnel videos, let's say. So you have your top of funnel, middle funnel, and bottom of funnel advertisements that they're running. And each of them have their own scripts. Even if it's just a 15-second UGC style TikTok ad, that does have a script. We have to collect the footage from the models who are filming it and everything like that. So, so scripting out the content, getting it approved, collecting all the footage. And then before you get into the edit, you have to set up your project. And something that's been a huge time saver for me has been file organization, which is huge. People don't realize what goes into it. You have this file structure, so you're able to kind of locate your assets easily. And then if, the client needs a project file, you can zip it up real quick and send it over to them. So when they open the project, everything is sorted out. But that does take time to set up your bins in Premiere Pro and your files on your hard drive and everything like that. And then the edit, because I'm working along a script typically, and I have had like kind of storyboard frames for reference, it doesn't take me that long. But I've also had the experience of working with some other videographers or video editors and realizing that my output and my turnaround time is much, much quicker than a lot of other people. And I think that's credited to the fact that I have a foundation in Premiere Pro. So even though I wasn't doing the kind of filmmaking I wanted to back in college, I was learning all the keyboard shortcuts and all of the things that allow me to be a very efficient editor. So, I might be able to bang out, 15 to 30-second ads in an hour and be totally fine. But what you said before about the value of the time it's been tough for me to kind of find a middle ground because, yes, technically, if I'm clocking it in, that video, those 4 videos, took me 1 hour. It took me 1 hour because I've learned all the tools to be efficient. So it's either if I'm not getting paid the rate that I feel like I deserve to be paid, it's billing more hours to kind of add up to what a normal editor might take, the time it might take for them to complete it, or it's really valuing the hour that I do spend, and saying, this is my price, but in that hour, this is all the stuff you're getting. So it's been really tough. And then, at the end of the production cycle, you have, after the editing, the delivery to the client, that takes up a lot of time. You have to zip up all the files. You have to make sure everything's good. You have to use, we use a platform called like Frame.io where you upload all the videos, and then there's the feedback loop. And then beyond that, even after the feedback loop, it's distributing and publishing these videos and then monitoring their success on these various platforms. So that might have been just a handful of 15-second videos, but already you can see how the time increases as the pipeline goes on.
So see, I recently just released a video on my YouTube channel, right? So I made a scenario. I was like, hey, we have this, powder company or whatever, this protein powder company wants a 1-minute video. And I took them through, the pre-production and editing and all this other stuff. And I was just like giving scenarios or situations of how many hours it may have took for that particular situation. And at the end of it, I was just like, this video, and I'm being nice about the time, it could have took 12 hours to plan and put together and get feedback and resize and send out. And I was just like, so you're getting a 1-minute video, but we spend possibly sometimes 12 plus hours just to give it to you. But you only see that.
Exactly. And even if, you get so good at your job and so efficient that you're able to minimize that 12 hours down to 6 hours, that's still 12 hours worth of work. And I think that's sometimes what clients don't understand.
Well, I'm happy that you brought some of that stuff out. Now, the other thing that I was just like, okay, I don't want this to be like a Debbie Downer situation and me just clowning on people because they don't want to pay or they don't understand. So I was just like, okay, great. So let's say you have a person who doesn't necessarily have the budget, right? Are there any service accommodations that you make for individuals or things that you have available to people who cannot honor your rate at the moment or what your proposal may be?
Honestly, I've been a lot more selfish recently in the relaunch of my business because I'm kind of taking it in a different direction. Before I was taking whatever business I could get. Now I'm narrowing it down to specifically Latinx-owned small businesses, and marketing my funnel to that. But along with that, I'm also rebranding my company to be more video strategy as well as just the video production. And that's the key, right? It's like you make all these great videos, but your clients don't know what to do with them. So it's kind of being the whole package. That being said, the caliber of client that I'm looking for is serious about video and is serious about the investment. If I meet a client and I see that they're so passionate about their business, it is not my job to make it, how do I say this? It's not my job to make it more affordable for someone because my rates are very fair based on the amount of passion and work and time that I put into it. But I can do things like, explain why the investment is important and make them feel good about their investment, because I don't want to work with a client who is doubtful about the investment that they're making, because then they're not going to be enjoyable to work with. But then I also, I want them to believe in the partnership that we have. But additionally, I can also do something like, work out a payment plan. So instead of having this amount up front, let's break it up month to month. And I find that a lot of service-based businesses, and I'm specifically looking to, service Latinx small businesses. So I've been looking at Latinx kind of geared service providers. And I've found that they're very unapologetic about their prices. You have to do a little bit of hunting to find it on their website. Usually it's like, oh, click here to download our pricing PDF, because they want to make sure that after they've kind of sold you on the whole process and the dream of the project you're going to be working on with them, that once you get to that price tag, it's already been justified. So you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, now I can really make an informed decision about it. But yeah, as far as making it, I guess, easier for clients or more affordable for clients, I'm really just not, at this point in my business, not interested in doing that. I did, however, when I was first starting my business, doing some free to fee videos. And that was really helpful, but and they were getting something out of it, but I saw it as more of an opportunity for me. The stakes were a little bit lower because at the end of the day, they may have wasted some time, but they weren't pouring their hard-earned money into it. And I was able to deliver, some great videos to these few clients. And then that eventually turned into business. And it is a little bit challenging when you're going from free to fee, because I found that, I did it was this one client, I did this whole brand video for them. And I did this entire event video for them. And I found that I did all of that work for free. So when they came back to me and said, hey, I'd love to hire you we're going to be applying to this grant and we need a submission video that's just like 30 seconds. I'd love for you to do that. It was really hard for me to put a price on that, because it's like, I just did, a week's worth of work for absolutely nothing. And now I'm going to charge you X for this 30-second video that you want. So that's like kind of a personal barrier that I've been working on, which is why I've tried to move away from doing the free to fee method. Plus, I also think that my skills have evolved enough to the point where I'm confidently, going in the right direction. And if I feel like I'm not, I might be willing to kind of, do possibly like a swap for services or something like that. But yeah, going from free to fee is tough. I think maybe if I made my prices clear in the beginning and then said, I'm willing to do this one for free, but this will be the cost of future videos, that might help. But this was my first client, this was my first opportunity. So I didn't even know how to price the work, and I'll stop talking, I promise, after this.
No, you're fine, please.
Doing those 2 free videos for this client, I realized how much work went into it. Not only did we have to travel to get down there, I had to, bring all my gear, set up all my gear, my gimbal, multiple cameras, all of this stuff, the mic, the lights, everything. And again, I was mostly doing this by myself. I took my fiance with me because he was my chauffeur, if you will. But, I was really learning the value of my work, which was new for me, because before that I was doing these, graduation edits where I was, getting paid hourly. Sorry, I hit the mic. Getting paid hourly to stand and film this graduation ceremony, and then the next work day I would work for X amount of hours to just put a very basic edit of the thing together. But this video was so much more, and I learned so much, and it really helped me understand my own value, which is why I recommend any creator at least do one free video, or one video where you don't have the pressure, where you can really learn everything there is to learn about the process and about yourself. Because there was, I found myself saying during the shooting of those videos, saying, I will never do this again for free in my entire life.
Listen, I completely understand. You said so many things that I could relate to when it comes down to it. I was in a situation to where, I usually drag my roommate to certain things with me, and when we have interesting interactions, we're just like, okay, and what did we learn from today? It was just like, great. We will never, ever charge that little, or make sure that we have enough time and that they understand. And even when you mentioned earlier about, even the proposal process, it takes a lot that even goes into that to be like, okay. And it's not like, how can I hook them? It's just like, okay. And another thing I want to bring out is that we always over deliver for the most part. I'm just giving you what is what you're asking for, but because of the skills and things that we have, we're always going to over deliver. But trying to frame it in a way to be like, just pay me and let me do
Yeah.
my thing is very difficult for some people to understand. And even most recently, I started to everybody, a lot of people's churches are online, and I was watching my church, and it just wasn't, I just wasn't happy with it. I wasn't happy with it at all. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go and get on the media team so I can fix this. And even going there and recording things, I'm now trying to learn how to, in a sense, live stream, maybe not live stream, but live record, so that it cuts down my editing process, so that I don't have to, be there for an hour and a half and then come back home and edit for an additional hour and a half or 2 hours when it comes down to it. So there's just additional skills that you learn when we do certain tasks or take on different challenges. So I appreciate what you were saying about that. Now, you mentioned about setup, and you mentioned all the various different things that go along with your setup, which brings me to my next point of expenses. I know I've spent a small fortune on the things that I have, so I can only imagine what you've acquired even over the years. And so I'll say this one point, then I'll let you. So it's like, I know that in my arsenal, there are lenses alone that cost more than your type
Oh yeah.
project.
Oh yeah.
Not even the camera, the lens costs more than your entire project. So I don't know why you're crying, because I already had to spend the money on it. If you want this lens to come out the house, I need at least
That's a
this
great
much.
point. Yeah. Absolutely. The value of your gear. It's been, you know, full disclosure, when I was first starting out, I was gifted a lot of my equipment. My parents, my aunts, uncle,
That's amazing.
my fiance were very, very, very supportive of me kind of getting into this hobby at first and then launching my business. So I found that my expenses now are not necessarily on gear, but mostly on all the software that I use to run my website, to run the editing programs that I use for bookkeeping and things like that. Music bed is a small fortune alone. But so I definitely understand the value of the gear. I think it doesn't hit me as much because I know I didn't like shell out for it. But there's something to be said about that. Like I think someone who's filming with their cell phone, would charge less than someone filming with a full rigged out cinema camera. I mean, the setup I have is, a Panasonic GH5 and that kind of line of cameras. It's by no means a red cinema camera, but you best believe if I did have a red cinema camera, that price bracket would go up because the value and the production quality that you're able to deliver will also go up. So I find that, yeah, the gear definitely has something to do with it. But like for the project I was telling you about, I had to bring lights, like not only, I also had to, not for nothing, invest in the Pelican cases and everything to be able to house everything in order to bring it around. Despite the fact that I had to lug everything up and downstairs and through and all this stuff. So it's a lot. So there's something to be said about, valuing your time, but also taking into consideration the gear that you have and the actual like thing that is being asked of you, because it's always more than just, I need this 30-second video. You are, if you're a one woman show like I am, you are the producer, you're the director, you're the DP, you're the editor, you're, making sure everything is going well on set, you're traveling, you're transporting, you're your own chauffeur. If you're like me, you get your fiance to do it. But even then, like you're paying for meals for the people that help you. There's a lot that goes into it. So I think this pricing conversation is a really important one to have, because at the end of the day, the worst feeling in the world is knowing that you're undervaluing yourself, but not knowing how to ask for more money or how to find the clients that will align with the value you think you're delivering on.
And that's why I'm so big on like budgets as well, or even just give me a price range so I can know if I want to accept that or want to work on it, but also gives me an idea on which equipment I'm bringing. I'm not bringing my big boy out of the house
Yeah.
for certain amounts. I will use a different camera. And it's not to say that it gives worse quality or anything like I'm not going. I actually did like a remix video or something like that earlier when it talked about somebody had a fully rigged out, cinema camera. It's like, oh, my budget's lower. Then they got the DSLR. It's like, oh, even lower. And it's like, then it went to the cell phone. Now, I won't necessarily do that to people, but there's certain things within my equipment that if I take on projects that are not at a certain price
Yeah,
point, it's not worth the
100%.
risk. So it's just like I will bring this. We're still going to do. I'm gonna do everything to the best of my ability, but I cannot risk this lens. I cannot risk this camera. I cannot risk this item because it wouldn't even cover half of the cost if
That's
anything
a
were to
great
happen
point. Yeah,
on
absolutely.
location. So as we come to a close, thank you for the time that we've spent thus far. Um, so since you have a business, how do you go about marketing yourself to attract customers, especially since you've pretty much niched down and you know exactly who you're looking for? How do you go about looking for those clients that you can service?
Right. So right now, since I'm in the process of kind of rebranding and relaunching towards that kind of Latinx small business owner niche, um, I'll tell you how I do that one. But before I did that, this is how I would kind of go about it. I wouldn't market myself on my Instagram or online because I was really intimidated, and I think like that imposter syndrome came through. I wasn't even confident building my website until I was sure that I had enough portfolio pieces to be able to confidently send someone the link. All of the business I've gotten thus far has thank God for my network, has been from referrals.
Mm-hmm.
It's been either you know, uh, my friends work for a company, they're hiring a video editor. Oh, Kel, I remember she did video back for our old company or something like that. Let's see if she's available. But my first, I guess, real client stemmed out of an internship that I had when I first started freelancing. And after I was done freelancing, I was doing project management, account management at this digital marketing agency. And I had told them that I was still going to do that freelance account management stuff on the side, but what I was interested in video editing. So by the time they started to get more serious about video, they had hired me to do some video editing. And I actually ended up leaving that client just because I didn't see the value in it anymore. I wasn't making the content I wanted to make, and they were quite hard to work with, if we're being honest. So after that, I kind of just let the people in my network know that I was open to opportunities and that I was launching this business, and I really wanted to kind of take this more seriously and find clients that align. And Danielle Hope Diamond, who is she's pretty big in the full time filmmaker group.
I have a podcast coming out with her too.
Oh, she's amazing. Oh my goodness. She has been a godsend. We connected early on when I first joined Full Time Filmmaker, and she lives pretty close to me. So we've become, great virtual friends. And she ended up, because she's scaling her business rapidly, might I add, and doing so well for herself. So as she outgrew this one opportunity, she said, I think Kel might benefit from this one. It's like the perfect kind of starting out gig. The company and the content is more aligned with, what I want to do. So she ended up passing along that opportunity, and a referral goes a long way in this
Mm-hmm.
industry. So, Danielle had been doing video edits for them, social media ads and stuff. And so she had said, I think Kel can do this. And I met them on Danielle's referral. I did like a small video test, and they hired me on the spot. And that was my first client. And since then, Danielle, every time she has an opportunity that she can't take on, she throws it my way. So I haven't had to do much work as far as like
That's a blessing.
developing a sales funnel and everything like that. But the way that I'm pivoting my business now, I find that I do need a much more strategic approach. Can't just rely on, word of mouth at this point. So I found that working with a few different things. So, and I'm looking to hire out these things, but I've seen the budgets for some of these, and I don't know if I'm quite ready to make the investment yet. So I've been doing a lot of it on my own. And those categories include a website redesign, graphics, so social media graphics, finding a color palette, making sure your website colors match and all that. So just overall branding, copywriting as well. So the way that I think that my website is very, if it's not going to change until later this year. So if you guys look at it now, it's very kind of basic. I give a small introduction of myself. I have my portfolio and I have a contact me, and it's sleek looking. I love the way it looks, but it's very kind of basic. The way I'm redesigning this website is to really talk to the person, to be able to identify the type of client that I want to be working with. So this website that I'm building is going to be targeted to a very specific niche. It's very much calling out and saying, "Hi, Latinx small business owners. This is the problem that you're having. This is how I can solve it. This is how we can relate. This is what it's going to be like working with me. Here is the packages that I have to offer you. If you're interested, let's talk further about investment. Set up a free 15-minute consultation, things like that." So it's more of a strategic kind of sales funnel, which I always used to be kind of against, because I was like, oh, it's too gimmicky. It feels like, you're selling to sell, you're just trying to take my money. And then I realized every, service-based business or every course that I've ever joined has been because of their very, very effective marketing. I mean, Full-Time Filmmaker got me instantly. What I'm trying to, eventually invest in now is the Real Deal Video Strategist Club, because their marketing is insane. But even some of these Latinx owned businesses that I've been seeing, there's a few, Oxford Comma Company or Collective. They're a copywriting agency. Copy Crush, another copywriting agency. Their branding, everything, their messaging is so on point, and they're speaking to my soul. So I mean, I would be their ideal client if I'm ready to make the investment, which I'm not yet. But that's what I'm looking to do for my future clients. They're going to see me, they're going to identify with me, and they're going to say, okay, this is someone I trust. This is someone I could work with. I want to learn more. Let's talk about the investment. And those are the kind of connections I want to make, because I find that also the client relationship is something that's really important to me. So I'm truly looking to make a connection with these small businesses. Right now, where I am with my business, it's very transactional. It's like, here, we need these edits by this date. I pop them out, I send them over, bada bing, bada boom, we're done. And that kind of keeps rolling in, because I work for a digital marketing agency, and we work with a bunch of clients, and it's just kind of the transactional functional nature of that role. But I'm looking for something more meaningful, something deeper, especially because this is my side business, and it's going to be my side business, and I'm comfortable with that right now. But if I eventually do want to scale it to full time, I need to make sure the work makes sense for me and is something that I continually feel passionate about. And the only way to do that is to kind of rebrand and relaunch. So I hope I answered your question.
No, you did. You did. I mean, it's all about a
Right.
process. I've definitely been on a journey myself, to where it's just like, I don't want to just make videos and take pictures of people. I need to have meeting. I need to make sure that we both mutually understand and agree on how you want to
Yeah.
be represented. And one of the things that you mentioned is, even with the services that you were looking forward to, it's the, what I would call, the respect and understanding that I 110% want to work with you, but I don't have the capital right now to give you what I believe you deserve. And if in anything, that's the conversation, or the highlight that I want to make. Like, it's not that we don't want to work with you. It's just that there's certain things that I'd like us all to take into account, to make sure that the mutual respect is given, so that we can continue to show up our best for you. Because the worst thing in the world is taking a low paying client with an
Oh yeah.
attitude, and them just trashing your name all over the place. Like, I gave it. And it's like, you didn't even pay me that much. And I'm mad because I took it. And now you talking trash when your project was overvalued anyway. So that's I appreciate everything that you mentioned, and I wish you the best on what you're developing. I know that you're going to do awesome. I'm super happy that you've been able to niche down, and you don't have to reach everywhere to to try to make a dollar, and that's dope. Right now, I'd love for you to share the different spaces and channels that people can follow and support you and follow your
Sure.
journey.
The main one would definitely be my Instagram. It's at the real Kel Grant. And then that links out to my YouTube channel, which is Life as Kel. And on there you can find vlogs, some cinematic stuff. But I mostly just have fun on my YouTube channel. You can also find all of my podcast episodes for the She's in Focus podcast, dedicated to inspiring and empowering female filmmakers and videographers from all walks of life and on every step of their creative journey. You can find all of their stories there, available wherever podcasts are available. Again, that's She's in Focus. And then if you want to check out my website, you absolutely can. It's arbezfilms.com. That's zebra spelled backwards, films.com. As if you hadn't noticed, you guys have kind of a theme going here. I'm into zebras, it's my thing. But that website, like I said, will be transitioning and rebranding towards the niche that I'm looking to go into. But in the meantime, you can see what's there now and stay tuned for the updates.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you, Abby. It
Kel.
was such a pleasure talking to you. It always is. I'm so excited to wow. I'm so excited to see everything you're doing, and I'm really looking forward to staying connected.